Hey, how's it going, everyone? We're here, we're live. We're going to go ahead and see if we can find $150 of profit sourcing on FlipMine and also sourcing on Amazon using a software called Keepa. So we're going to dive right into it. We're going to see if we can actually do that. And if you're someone who's watching this in the future, if you can just go and fast forward maybe a minute or two, so that I can get everything set up and we're ready to go. Let's do it. All right, dive right into the screen here. See, we're good here. All right, let's get into it. So, like I mentioned, first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna dive into dive into FlipMine to see if we can find some books that are profitable. So, I'm over here on a website called FlipMine. It's a software that tries to find undervalued books on eBay that you can flip over on Amazon. And if you find it valuable and you actually want to sign up, you can support the channel. I have a link in the description. But let's go and take a look at FlipMine over here. Really, what we're doing is trying to find some undervalued books. And the way that I've kind of set up my FlipMine is to have the eBay price and the inferred lowest Amazon price over the last 180 days to kind of be right next to each other so I can see what the potential difference in prices between them. So let's go ahead and take a look. See a couple of comments already. I'll get to those in a sec. So this one here, 45 bucks is what we can buy it for. On eBay, we go over to Amazon. Clearly that is not going to be a good deal. Right now, the buy box is about 22 bucks. And if we kind of look at this book over the last year, it kind of has value right around maybe 20 bucks. So definitely something that I'm going to pass on to get started with. But let's see what we got. Sherry says, good morning. Good to see you, Sherry. Thanks for being here. We got Eric in the house. Good morning. Let's go. Good to see Eric. AJ in the also here. I appreciate everyone being here. I got a shipment over here. Got a shipment going out right there. So that's going to go out after we're done with the stream. So that's good. All right, let's get back into it. All right. Let's see if there's anything else that's going to be interesting here. This looks pretty good, or it looks like it could be good. Let's look at this book as well. Let's look at this one. All right, so I'm just going to open up these books. I'm just going to do some quick analysis again because we got basically an hour from 6:30 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. to try to get $150 in profit. So that means I'm going to have to go pretty quick here. And I think we might have found the first book. So if we look at this book over here on Amazon, one thing that you'll notice, I'm going to actually get rid of this new price because this new price is kind of making the y-axis really high because the new price at one point was really high for some reason. But take a look at this book. This has had some pretty decent sales volume right around the $30 to $40 range in the past. And then you can actually see that the price of this book actually went down to right about $9 pretty recently. So I think that actually potentially would have been okay. Right now it's about $17.94 plus $4 shipping. So you would be able to pick this up for about 20, let's just call it like 21.93. And let's see what you could potentially sell this at. This is a book from 1983. So clearly this is not a textbook. That's good. The further you look back in time, the better. But look at all these sales rank drops here in July and August of last year. Some of them were upwards of $49, which is good. Some of them were lower as well. So you might have to worry about trying to exploit the buy box a little bit. But if you're just trying to sell this at like $45.99, then you might be able to make about 10 bucks there. For a book like this, I look a little bit further back in history. It looks like it has sold upwards of $50 as well. But if you go back even further, it looks like it kind of didn't have much value. So not really sure why all of a sudden it has a little bit more value, but that's something that could have been probably a better deal if you could have picked this up for right around $9, I think, because then you would have been in at about $12. And I think you probably could have sold it at $39.99, and that would have been a pretty good deal. So say there. All right. We got Glenn in the house. Good morning, Glenn. Good to see you, man. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. And let's do this. All right, let's come back over here. Okay, let's see this dance and movement therapy. 45 bucks is what this is on Amazon. Looks like it has a pretty solid price right around 40 bucks, but this is overvalued in my opinion. So I'm going to move on from that. This book here is 30. Wow, what a cover this book has. Red and white quilts for 30 plus $6 shipping. Its new price right now is right around 40 bucks, which means that, oh wow, this is crazy. Amazon just recently came back in stock. Look how crazy these sales were before Amazon came in stock. So this book was selling for well over $100 pretty consistently. And it looks like Amazon has been out of stock since basically the pandemic. They went out of stock. A whole bunch of people were buying this book. And then for a good period of time, there just like weren't even any copies available. Like the offer count came in and out. Look, this is why you should have been tracking this book, because Amazon came back in stock at 60 bucks. Clearly they weren't in stock for very long. And then they went back out of stock for a long time. So you could have done Amazon new purchase to a used book flip there if you had done that. I'm curious to see how many new copies are in stock now. So let's go ahead and look at that. This could potentially be a new flip to use. Looks like Amazon's got 1,000. So it looks like they're gonna be back in stock for a while, but interesting, interesting there. This book as well. Okay, this is a book that probably would have been good to track, and the reason why I say that is even though these sales rank drops happen right around 40, this one happened at 88. This one looks like it happened at 3.99, which is absolutely insane. Maybe there's a collectible offer. No, it looks like it was 3.99, and then this is why you would have tracked it because like price of this dropped down to $4, and this would have been a good pickup if you could have picked this up for $8 because again the history in the past showed that this should move for right around $40, and that would have been a good flip right there. I think. All right, let's see what we got. Hi, Dana says, "Good morning. Love your presentation for Avery's webinar. I'm glad that you're here. Thanks for supporting the channel, coming over. I appreciate it. Hey, Chris. Good morning. Good to see you. Share first book you removed new price and said it removed your help with the y-axis to remove new price. Yeah, let me see if I can go ahead and find that again. I think it was this first book that we looked at. Is it this one right here? Let me take a look. Yeah, sometimes if the new price is super inflated at like for a very small amount of time, it can make the graph look really wonky. I don't know if it was here. I don't think it was here. No, Amazon. There'll probably be another example. I don't remember exactly which book it was. I think it's this one actually. Let's take a look. And look at the used buy box in this book is $200, which I think is completely unreasonable. I don't think anyone's gonna sell it there. But here's what I mean, Share. Like if you look back at time here, back in April of last year, the new price was $695, and then back here, it was up to 535. So because Keepa wants to fit all that data on a graph, it then has to change this y-axis so that it goes from 0 to 600. It just makes it harder for you to see kind of how the used prices change over time. So that's why I said if you just get rid of this new price, then all of a sudden the max that the y-axis goes is 250. So then it's easier for you to kind of see how the used price goes up and down. And yeah, that's what I meant. Okay, good question here. AJ says, can I price the book over the buy box? You could, and what that would mean is seller would have to go into the used and new offers, and then they would have to actually pick your copy, which would be more expensive than the buy box. Does that happen very often that someone will pay more than the buy box? Probably not super often, but it technically could happen. Yeah, technically it could happen. All right, let's see what else we got. Let's keep going. So I'm just trying to see if there's anything here that looks pretty interesting. These look like they could be interesting. I'm just looking for a big enough difference in price that wouldn't warrant me wanting to open this up and look at it further. And I think that's it for about right here. And then what we'll do is we'll transition over to some Keepa deals and some Keepa product finder and stuff like that. This one was what, 35? Let's take a look. So this high weirdness book, hardcover, $35. This book just doesn't really sell for much. I actually am tracking it, surprisingly. And was I notified of? Did this hit my tracker? This actually did hit my tracker back in January. I wasn't able to buy it, but I think the reason why I tracked this is because this is a book that was selling for right around $50. Not super often, but I was notified when this came down to about 15. I wasn't able to pick it up. I might have decided not to buy it, but you can see Amazon was back in stock on this years ago for right around $30, and the sales rank on this book was amazing. So clearly there is some pretty good demand for this book at that price. I think that's why I decided to track it for around 15 because my thought process is, if people are willing to spend probably right around $25 to get this in used condition when Amazon was in stock way back when, then probably would still be a good deal if you picked it up for $15. So let's see. Thanks as always, of course. Hey, how's it going, dude? Trying to watch live. My 2-year-old boy attacking me. Let's go. Yeah, the reason why I'm live so early in the morning is my baby boy is also he's sleeping right now, so gotta do the sourcing when he's not awake, so I can go play with him when he is. All right, this is clearly not going to be a good pickup on eBay, but over on Amazon, this looks like it could be possible. I am actually tracking this book. It looks like it sold a few times, upwards of so maybe once there for 50, a couple times for right around 30. Few sales here at 20, and then the price now is right around 10. So it might be a little bit undervalued. In the past, this This has gone up and down in price pretty frequently though. So this is a book that definitely be worth tracking. I think I'm the only person tracking this, by the way. And the reason why I say that is because there's a lot of history of this going down to about $3 or $4 and then going up and selling for 40 or 50. So I think, what am I tracking mine at? Tracking mine at $4. So once this gets to $4, I'll probably pick up a copy. Let's see what the buy box is right now. There's actually no prime seller. So if you came on the listing, I mean, you could potentially win the buy box up to $110 because you actually see that the buy box winner of this book, Beloved Products, he got it at basically as high as 110. Looks like he sold his at $18 though. So he was priced really high for a long time. Then he dropped his price to 18 and then he sold it. So that's kind of what he did. But I think you could sell this book for right around like probably like $35 pretty easily. That's why I'm tracking for about $4. I think if I can pick it up for 8, that'd be a good flip right there for sure. We got a checkmate in the house. Only 2 likes, guys. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thanks, man. Thanks for being here, Seth. I saw you just came out with a new video today. I gotta check that out as well after I'm done. Okay. We're gonna move on from that book. Let's see this spiritual discernment book, $24 over here. And this book is also pretty volatile as well. I would say generally, again, you're kind of looking for the price of the book, trying to find like an average price of the book when it's selling most frequently to try to determine what value it has. So most of the sales rank drops are right around this $11 mark. Now, with that said, look how solid this buy box price was, even though the lowest use price of this book is really low. So that difference in price, that prime bump is actually pretty decent. So it looks like, I don't know if any of these people have actually sold. I guess this guy sold his copy for 39, United Commerce. See if any of these other sellers have sold. It looks like maybe one or so sells there. So even though the price has been pretty low, I mean, you could still potentially exploit the buy box. I just personally wouldn't, you know, have my whole strategy be off exploiting the buy box. Here's something that looks like it's a 72 card deck. It's right around $24 on eBay. It looks like on Amazon, it's right around the same price. So that's obviously not a good deal. All right, let's go ahead and refresh this page quickly, and then let's see if there's anything here that looks pretty decent, and then we'll go ahead and if there's anything new, and then we'll go over to Keepa. All right, so we'll keep that up and running, but let's head on over to Keepa. And first I'm going to go to my notifications. So I track books all the time, and I'm just going to see if any of these recent notifications actually look decent at all. So here's one that I was notified over last night. It's notified about this one as well. And then some of these other ones I've already seen. This one looks like it's just in a crazy repricing war. So let's go and take a look. Philosophy and Contemporary Issues. This is a textbook, 9th edition. And wow, when did I start tracking this? I started tracking this way back in May and June. Same thing here, share. This new price is so high that I'm just going to get rid of that by taking that off. And so back here in May and June of last year, this is selling for right around $40. That's when I started to track it for about $3, probably because this has been very, very volatile. Notice that this definitely has a textbook seasonality to it. In previous textbook seasons, the used price didn't really go up high, but kind of what you're noticing with the used offer count is kind of just trending downward. And as it starts trending downward and there's just generally less copies, you can see that during a textbook season, maybe this can sell for a little bit more of an inflated price like it did back here and more recently back in January 2021 and then January 2022. And then now this is super cheap again. Now the used offer count is actually rising, like it steadily has been increasing. So that makes me probably not want to pick a copy up. But if the used offer count was still really low like this, and I knew that August, September was coming up, I might consider maybe picking up a copy because it's super cheap. But there's that. And then there's this nursing concept-based approach volume 2 book. So again, this is a book that sells really well. The sales rank of this is amazing. In August and September, definitely goes up in price pretty significantly there. So that's good. But recently we've been seeing this price come down. So not sure if this book might be having a new edition soon, but generally these nursing volume books, like this one specifically, the concept-based nursing book, they're pretty valuable. But I've noticed recently the prices have started to tank a little bit. So I mean, you can see that over time, slowly the used price has started to come down. The used offer count slowly is going up. So probably going to stop tracking that book. But okay, so nothing recent notification. Let's go to the deals page. Let's see if we can find anything here and see what we got. We got Seagal in the house. How is it going? Sometimes if you price above the buy box, you might get a regional buy box if your book is in a warehouse closer to where the buyer is. Yeah. Seagal always dropping golden nuggets. Yeah, regional buy boxes. All right, let's get rid of that. Let's come back here. So Keep It Deals is one of the features that Keepa has that allows you to source not just books, but literally any category. So right now I'm looking for used books. I have that clicked as used. I'm looking at a week drop interval. I'm looking for books that have dropped by at least 50% and at least $30. Currently are between $1 and 33 bucks and have a max rank up to 2 million. Okay, and let's sort by the drop percentage. Let's see if we can find anything interesting here. So all I'm going to do is hover my cursor over each title. In the bottom right, you're going to see that there is a keeper graph that pops up. And all I'm really looking for is a book that potentially looks like it could be undervalued. And so I'm going to go here pretty quick because we don't got much time left. Honestly, we got to start sourcing some profit. Probably been talking too much and do more sourcing. Okay. Um, but as always, anyone has any questions, go ahead and feel free to put them in the chat and I'll see if I can answer those for you. Let's see. Okay, this one actually looks pretty good here. This is called Super Mob: How Sidney Korshak and his criminal associates became America's hidden power brokers. See, okay, this is actually not even available anymore at that price. Someone picked this up. This would have been a great deal though. Notice, so this actually happened March 17th. So yesterday this happened, but the used price of this book went from basically $120 all the way down to $8. Now it wasn't really selling for 170. Over the last year, it was selling for maybe right around 30 bucks. And then most recently in February, it was selling for about 60. So this is a book for sure that if you had picked up would have been a really good deal. It would have been solid. You would have paid $8 plus shipping. So you would have been all in for about 12 bucks. And then I would say that you could probably, what happened to my, I would say that pretty conservatively, you could probably sell this book for right around like $39.99, which would have been like a $10 profit. If you sold this for a little bit more of an inflated price as of recent for about 65 or 70, that would have been a killer score right there. So that's good. Let's see what it set this up. So it says, when you're not teaching the people, do you often just look at the Keepa and 70% of the time say yes or no? Nearly me. Yeah, I mean, when I'm sourcing on my own and I'm not just talking out loud, it's actually much quicker. I just, think it's gonna be terrible for retention if I just if I just stop talking and just do sourcing. So that's why I basically am talking through everything. But yeah, generally I go really fast. Here's another book that definitely has potential. This Learning to Read: The Great Debate. You can see in the past it has been selling for right around like $30, some at 40. Couple, this was a recent sell right around 75, a couple sells at 30. So this isn't terribly undervalued, but I would say that this book definitely is undervalued. This is also by McGraw-Hill, so you might need to get engaged in that. But there's two copies here right around 1646, and it goes right back up to a price that's definitely unreasonable. But yeah, I mean, these sells in here for 30. So you basically see there is potential to go up to 75 with this book, but probably more realistically, the used price of this book's right around 30. So if you think about worst case scenario, I would say worst case scenario, you're probably selling this book for $29.99 as a prime seller, and you could pick this up for 1646. So at that price, you'd be losing money. But again, I think that's kind of probably the worst case scenario. If I were to send this in, I would say I'd probably try to sell it for about 49.99. I think it probably would move there. So I would say that's probably about, I probably would buy that book. I'd probably just buy one copy though. See what Share says. Can you change your zip just for one book on FBA to get a regional buy box? The regional buy box comment went right over my head. I don't believe so. It's tied to your Amazon seller account. So wherever you're located, Share, that's going to be your regional area. So if you live on the East Coast, then that East Coast area is where you could potentially win the buy box. And so I think what Seagal is talking about is that it might be advantageous for Amazon to actually send a book to somebody on the East Coast. Send that book to someone on the East Coast if that book is in a warehouse that's on the East Coast rather than if it's on the West Coast. So Amazon's algorithm might say, hey, let's give this person the buy box over here to the people on the East Coast because it's going to be much easier for us to ship it to them, right? It's going to cost us less money. It's going to get there quicker. And you just got to remember all the time, Amazon is thinking about how to make the experience for the customer best. You mentioned that you're doing mostly Amazon. Do you do it from your main account or do you have to do it from an alternative one? I will buy books on Amazon if they're merchant fulfilled from my general Amazon account. But if it's going to be from a Prime offer, then I hop on over to the business Prime account, the business account, and then I'll buy it from there because you're not allowed to take advantage of Amazon services. Yeah, so the Seagull says the regional buy box in relation to FBA, the book is already Amazon. Yeah, exactly. All right, let's go back over here. So learning to read. Again, look at this book in the past. It has sold upwards of 50. It's been as low as 12. So I mean, it definitely is volatile. It's not a great deal, but like I said, few of the most recent sales have been at 75. The used offer count historically is very low right now, which is definitely a good sign. There's potential for you to buy that. Let's see what else we got. Let's keep going. Let me get off the screen. Salt and Sea. So all I'm doing is I'm just cruising through these right now, and I'm basically saying no, 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 no. So obviously, the quicker you get rid of the duds, the faster it is that you can get to the good stuff. And it might take a little while for you to get up to the speed, but really all you're looking for is to see something that has held some pretty good value in the past, and then now is significantly cheaper than it was. So that's why I'm going through this. That one looked a little bit interesting. Let's look at this one. This one might be a book that you could track. Let's see. No, probably doesn't hold quite enough value. Doesn't hold enough value there. This is the right idea. So this is something that you're looking for here. Although I'm not sure if this is something, well, we'll see. The new third-party price of this is probably what's selling most frequently because that's what's the lowest price in comparison to Amazon and the used price. So right now this is right around like 50 bucks in new condition. You can see that the used price dropped from 96 to 25. You're not quite at a margin where you're going to be able to make money because you are going to have to probably sell this under the third-party new price to make money. But this is the sort of general idea that you're looking for. You're looking for this used price to be pretty healthy and then the drop in price to be pretty substantial. Like, for example, here's what I'm talking about. Racism and Resistance. This book was lowest used price was right on 86 and then now it just dropped all the way down to $16. So this is something that doesn't sell a ton but has started to sell. This is probably this has only been out for the last 2 years. So I'm not sure if this is going to be used in school. It probably could be used in school, but you can see that there are about 7 copies in stock here. And then there's another one here. I probably wouldn't buy more than just one copy of this book, though, because there are 7 copies from one seller. And you got to think logically. If this book isn't really selling that frequently, then the used price of this book is going to stay really low for quite a while, unless there's increased demand for this book that causes it to go up and, it causes people to come buy it. But if for let's say for example, there's only one seller and they only had one in stock here, this would be a no-brainer. This would be something that I'd scoop up for like 18 bucks, I'd try to sell it for probably like 75 or 80 bucks, and that'd be a good flip. But you got to pay attention to the number of used offers relative to how fast it's selling, because that's going to tell you, hey, is this a book that I can actually move, or is the price going to stay really low? Okay, let's see if there's anything else that we can find here. Okay, this might be interesting. Right now, the used price of this was or is right around like $12. In the most recent past, this was selling for right around 50 bucks. That's good. Back in the beginning of the year, that was selling for right around that $17, which is pretty close to its value now. So for whatever reason, it looks like it's maybe a little bit more inflated in price. What I will say is that this has history of selling upwards of $50 and up to $69 in the past. That's always good. You kind of want to figure out what is the ceiling for how high you can charge for a book, because that gives you an indicator of maybe the potential. But then also you kind of want to figure out what is the sort of average price of this book. So this has been as low as $5. This is probably something that I would track, honestly, because I think in the last year the value of this book is probably right around like 25 bucks. So if you track this for about $5, then if you can be all in for $8 or something like that, that could be a potential good deal there. Okay, let's see. Shares got a question here. Love the table setting. You're using Akiba. Didn't know it existed. Just switched over to that to view on Keep deals and pick up so much. You're welcome. You're welcome. Glad that you're finding it helpful. Let's go back over here. All right, let's hop on over. Let's just refresh Flipmine. See if anything there is looking good. 76 to 70. Let's just look at this book over here. And let's look at this book. The Flying Squirrel, that looks interesting. This actually looks really interesting as well. I'm just looking for a big enough differential in price. So Amazon, this book is $8. Yeah, definitely not not that one. This Kane's Law. Look at the buy box, $396. Holy cow, that's insane. But obviously that's not realistic at all because this book has been right around $10 for the last year. Has most recently sold for upwards of 20 and then one sold for 50, but I hope you see that that buy box price is completely unrealistic. There's nobody who's going to buy that book at $396. So why are they asking that much? I don't know. They're never going to get that book, or they're never going to get that sell. They're going to have to come down in price. They're probably going to have to come down to $29.99 or $39.99 if they want to sell that book. That's also a prime offer. So let's see this copy here. Same thing with this book. This book definitely holds value. I mean, it's right around 15 to 20 bucks. It's been as low as $2. So if you had a tracker set, I mean, no one's tracking this book. I would say that's a book that you could have sold for probably right around 30 bucks. Let's see if any of these prime offers sold. Like, here's what I mean. So if I click any of these little purple buttons on the buy box use price, and you click on them, these are the buy box used prices at that point in time. And if you see the stock quantity on the right go from 1 to 0, that means that they had sold their copy. So this Big Blue 82, they came in stock. They're at $49.99 in acceptable condition, and their stock quantity went from 1 to 0. So that tells me that it's very likely they sold their copy for 50 bucks. So even though at that time the lowest use price was, I think, only 16 bucks, they were able to sell this for $50. So if you could have bought the book back down here at $2.32 plus shipping, you'd have been all in at $6.50. You'd have made $27 profit. So, this is, again, something that generally holds some pretty good value, right around like $20 to $30. So this would be an argument for why you should track and look a little bit further back in a time. Like, this book has sold for a little bit more in the past. Like, this is very consistent sales data at 36. So you know that this book, which doesn't appear to be a textbook, this came out in 1983. It definitely can hold some value. So, go ahead and track it. Like back in 2017, look at this. Price of this book is right around $2. So this is something that I would personally track for like $2.50. Because while it wouldn't be an amazing flip, I mean, I would try to sell it for probably $39.99 and I'd take a $19 profit. I think it would sell at that. So, tracking books can definitely be pretty helpful. How's the OA test buys going? Pretty good, Seth. I think so. That first OA test buy, I think I bought like 9 pairs of shoes. I think 6 of them has sold already. What else? What else? I think that's the only thing that I've sold though from the OA test buys. I actually have some of the OA test buys in here as well. So I'm pretty interested about that. Scout IQ says $300. Sell it at 300. Yeah, Scout IQ is not always super accurate, because it just pulls the buy box price. And so you have to understand when it's reasonable versus unreasonable. Steve says, it's a shame Flipmine doesn't work over here in the UK. Thanks for the great videos. You're welcome, Steve. Thanks for checking them out. Yeah, Keepa definitely does work though. So I would say get on that. Also, Steve, there's no reason why you couldn't sell books on the Amazon US marketplace. So if you just hop onto a VPN and say that you're living in the US and you have a US account, you could use Flipmine to buy books on eBay and send it to the Amazon warehouse, even though you live in the UK. And then same thing, you buy books on Amazon in the US and send them to an Amazon warehouse in the US. So all you need is a prep center. Is actually probably not as hard as you think it would be. And I know a lot of people actually do that. Gumpify, just found your channel. I'm very new to Amazon FBA and doing only thrift shops for now. I have about 150 books sent in since I started. I'd love to be able to source from eBay to Amazon. Awesome, man. Yeah, Flipmine is the way that I buy books from eBay to Amazon. And I have a couple of videos on how to use Flipmine. And if you want to support the channel and you do end up wanting to use, I do have a link that gives you a free trial. Chris says, are you using Keepa to source for OA? Yeah, 100%. That's literally all I'm using when I'm doing Amazon flips, is I'm relying on Keepa's features. So if we go back here and we look at all of these books that I popped up came from the Keepa Deals page. A lot of them are to come from the Product Finder tab, and then a lot of them come from just tracking books with the Track Product feature. So the book that we just looked at here a second ago, which was it this book? It was this book here, Learning to Read. This is a book that I would consider tracking at a really low price because it has historical data to show that it could sell for upwards of 30 or 40. So if it gets down to $1 or $2, I mean, it's pretty undervalued. It's pretty low risk. Like, that's something that I'd pick up and then send back in. And let's see. Steve says, thanks for that. You're welcome. Do you recommend any prep services? I use Central Virginia Prep. They charge $2.25 per book. They're located in Virginia. You'd want to probably get sales tax exempt, so you wouldn't have to pay sales tax on your purchases. That's going to be actually really helpful to negating the prep center cost, because if it costs you about $2.25 to prep a book, which means to get it sent to your prep center and then sent to the Amazon warehouse, you could easily save that on a book that you buy for $30 if you're sending it to a state that doesn't charge sales tax. So there's about 5 US states that don't charge sales tax. So if you're not getting sales tax exempt, then probably you should look at a prep center in a sales tax free state. Otherwise, you'd want to get sales tax exempt on eBay and also Amazon, and then you wouldn't have to pay sales tax. But I use Central Virginia Prep, and then also another one that I've heard is really good is Little Owl. I think it's in Ohio. Little Owl is what it's called, and I've heard good things about that. Compify says, how beginner friendly is it? I like thrift stores because if I make a bad buy, I'm only at $1 or $2. Yeah, I would say that if you're new, you probably should just stick to thrifting for a while. And once you start getting sick of thrifting, then I would say maybe transition over to eBay to Amazon. But yeah, definitely your mistakes are going to be more costly because your buy cost is going to be higher. But like anything, you're going to learn through the experience of doing it. So you're actually not going to really know how to do it until you actually get in there and actually make some buys and see how it works. What I will say is that before you dive into it there, Dumpify, get really good at reading Keepa charts. So understand how to determine what the true value of a book is. And then you can make better purchasing decisions, because a lot of times people jump into eBay to Amazon or Amazon to Amazon flips, and they don't really have a solid foundation with Keepa, which means they don't fundamentally understand how to identify what something is worth. And that's really difficult to then try to buy something undervalued if you don't really know what it's worth in the first place. So the first thing is to be able to just open up a Keepa graph, like any Keepa graph that I'm seeing here, and be able to very easily identify what the value of this book is, because then relative to what you can buy it for today, you can make a more educated purchasing decision. So I would say continue thrifting. You're really new to the game, so I probably would say you should probably thrift for at least 3 or 4 months. But once you start to realize that, hey, you kind of know what you're doing, come back and then maybe go from there. All right, yeah. So I definitely use Keepa is key, says Chris. Exactly, Keepa is 100% key. All right, like for example, this Struggle of Syria book. This book has only sold about 4 or 5 times in the last year, and for a good majority of the year didn't sell. The used price was at 175. That doesn't mean this book doesn't have value. It doesn't mean no one wants it. It just means that it looks like nobody wants this at that price. So is there a price somebody would want this book at? Well, clearly, as soon as this book came down to about $47, someone pulled the trigger. They bought it. And actually, 2 people did buy this back for $150 a year past. Now, what I would do for a book like this is look at previous sales history, and you can see that this book very consistently was moving for about $70. It's kind of been really volatile. It's been all over the place. $59.99 up to $140, $190. Again, look at all of these wonderful opportunities to have bought this book for $5.98. You could have easily turned around and flipped that for over $100. Like that's crazy. Like you would have bought it here in March of 2019. You would have had to wait for a few months, but you could have sold it for $139. So that would have been an amazing flip there. If you want to sell a little bit quicker, then obviously price it a little bit less. But again, here's another one. Sales rank or used price dropped 18. Someone went ahead and picked that book up. The next sale is at 144. So this is a book that definitely would be something you should track. There's only 2 people tracking this right now. So pretty crazy. My one question would be, is this a textbook that has newer editions? Right. And then in the most recent past, this was selling for right around $30. So it could be that maybe there's a newer edition of this out. It doesn't look like that there's been a new one, and this came out in 1987. So this is The Struggle for Syria, Patrick Seeley. I doubt that there's going to be a newer edition of this out. So this is right now at $19. You can see that someone actually picked this up because it's probably super undervalued. And it looks like there's 2 copies. So this is something I'd probably buy 1 copy of, and I wouldn't price it probably at 150, even though it has sold at that. Let's look at what the offer count is right now as well. So in the grand scheme of things, the offer count is going up a little bit. But in the past, when this book was moving for $140, I mean, the used offer count was this high as well. But this is something I definitely would pick up. This would be longer tail for sure, but you'd pay $23.97. I'd probably just send mine in prime and try to sell mine for probably like $69.99 and just make like a $26 profit, because things that inherently don't move very fast, like you're gonna want to price them a little bit cheaper, like not at the max price because you want your books to move. You don't want them just to be sitting there forever. So I'd say that's probably a book that I would pick up. Definitely something that's going to move a little bit slower though. Okay, let's see if we can keep going. We can find anything else here. Just quickly refresh Flipmine over there. And let's keep going. This looks like it could be pretty solid as well. $26. All right. So look at this, everyone. Back here in this actually has a March textbook season because you see the sales rank get really low here. This was selling for 30, then it went up to 70, a couple sells at 100, and then one sell at 250 bucks. Absolutely insane. And then you can see it went out of stock for a while, came back in stock, was selling for about 180. Again, this is why you should have been tracking the book. You could have picked this up for $11.49, which is crazy. Then these sells for $189 back here in August. They're at 189 as well. And then the used price kind of steadily coming down, sold a couple times for right around 80, then right around 60. And then all of a sudden, used price dropped all the way down to about 25. So this is called linear circuit analysis. And let's see how many copies are available. Looks like we have 3 copies right around 30, and then it goes right back up to 90. So you'd be buying this for right around 34 bucks. And if you were to flip this for 90, you'd be making a pretty good profit on that. Let's see when this came out, though. This came out in 1998. So for books like this that have come out a long time ago, clearly there's still some value in it. You'd want to know if there's a newer edition, which it would be very likely that there should be a newer edition. So I'm just going to copy that title in here, and I'm going to go ahead and type in second edition. Let's see if we can find that second edition copy there. And this is going to be by Artice Davis. So this doesn't look like it's the same thing. This is from 2016, and this book doesn't have any value. So this is probably going to be the only edition of this book, and that's probably why it's still selling, even though it came out a long time ago. And if I type in the last name Davis, you can see this is the only book that pops up. So it looks like this probably is the newest version of this book. So people still clearly need this book. I would say that we're probably right about to get into this textbook season because that's when the textbook season happened there in the past. And I would say if you were to buy this copy for 30 bucks, you probably could turn around and flip it for 90 bucks. I think that is probably pretty likely. You can make a $29 profit on that. And the good thing with this is, like, conservatively, if you have to sell it for 60, which is a little bit cheaper, you'd still make your money back. So definitely a textbook season book there, but there's something there for sure. All right. Let's keep going. Let's see if anything fresh here in Flipmine. One thing that you'll realize about Flipmine is that to be successful at Flipmine, you kind of have to be looking at Flipmine not really for a long period of time in a short setting, but multiple settings throughout the day, just so that you can see when this refreshes and there are newer listings available. Because it's all about getting the newest list, seeing the freshest or newest listing, because anything that is a great deal is going to be gone pretty much immediately. So that's why you kind of want to be the first 1 or 2 people to see it if you really want to pick it up and potentially make money on it, right? Flip it. All right, so this was 56 over here on eBay. It's a little bit cheaper on Amazon. And basically, again, you got to determine what the price of this book is, like what its value is. Probably worth right around like 15 to 20 bucks. Doesn't really even sell very frequently at that price. So something that I would definitely just automatically click out of. All right, so it doesn't look like anything else new, fresh there that looked too great. Now, this book here has been moving for upwards of $40 and then all of a sudden drop back down to $7.79. Now, what I will say is, again, look at the history of this book in the past. This has basically held not really any value at all. But the reason why this book all of a sudden is way more valuable than it was in the past is because look at the used offer count. It went from about 20 all the way down to 1. So I'm not really sure why all of a sudden this book became more popular, but clearly someone probably came and bought 10 copies and then a whole bunch of other people bought this. And so if there's fewer copies available, then if you want to buy it, then you got to pay a little bit more money for it. So right now, acceptable condition $7.79 from Super Book Sales. Lots of creases and wear. So I'm not sure if I'd pick that up, but this would probably be a solid flip right now because the used offer count is so low. If this was in good condition, I'd definitely pick this up, but I'd probably want to sell it right around I'd probably sell it at 45 bucks. I'd just try to get rid of it because we're at a really low offer count right now, which is good. But as soon as that offer count goes back up to like 28, goes back up to 30, then basically it's going to be really hard to make any money on this. So this is a good example of you exploiting in an inflated price because of there being fewer offers. And I mean, look at these sales. Like here's a sale 46, here's a sale 64, came down in price a little bit. Some sells at 39, some sells upwards of 75, a couple sells there. And then more recently, a few sells right around 30. And even if you sell this at 29.99, I mean, you're still making profit on this book. So that's good. Let's click at these. Let's click these buy box prices here, see if any of them are showing up. And yeah, they're not showing stock quantity. So one thing that we could also do is we could also try to look at the offers tab here to see if we could look at include historical offers and look at the prime only. And let's see sold in the last 30 days. Sort by that. It's not showing us anything. This person here went out of stock. So they went from stock of 1 to 0 when their price was 78.94. So logically, you would think that means they probably sold it for $78. So clearly this book could potentially sell for quite a bit at a low offer count. So I would say if this was good condition, I would say, yeah, I'd probably flip that for 45. I think that definitely is realistic, reasonable. All right. Let's see what else we got here. So this Ching or Book of Changes. This looks like it holds some pretty good value right around 30. Again, look at this new price. It's been upwards of 500. So let's get rid of that so we can have this data look a little bit nicer. I would say probably the value of this book is right around the low 20s. Right now you can pick it up for 15, so it's not super undervalued. In the past, this has sold for, I guess, right around 30 bucks would be the most. So yeah, I would pass on that as well. Now, this is a 2018 edition. This book here, I would say generally its value is right around 30 bucks. It has sold upwards of 50, and now it's back down to about $14 there. Look how crazy this book went. So used offer count went really, really low. Then the used price of this shot back up. So again, shows you how used offer count and the price of a book definitely are in a relationship or like have a inverse relationship together. All right, let's see what we got. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Yeah, this is actually pretty crazy. Amazon just came back on stock at 29 at in 29.99, which is why the used price shot back down. But before Amazon was in stock, sold here for 90, sold a couple times here for 80. And you can see Amazon did come in stock for just a second, and they went right back out of stock. And Amazon is showing pretty consistent history of coming in and out of stock. So this is a book that as soon as Amazon goes out of stock, this book can sell for well over its retail price. So this is at least there is some potential for buying this in new condition and then maybe flipping it when Amazon goes out of stock. But you can see Amazon has two right now in stock. We have a couple of third-party new sellers with around upwards of 50. So I probably wouldn't buy this because there's a lot of those copies. But this is something that has potential. Like, look, Amazon went out of stock, third-party new sellers went out of stock, boom, sold for $91 and sold here for $90. So there's potential and definitely buying those sorts of books. All right, let's see what else we got here. Okay, this looks really interesting to me. So we had a couple sales here at $70. Then this book was right around 80 for a long time. No one was buying it. A couple people bought it back here for 7. Someone bought it in collectible condition back here for 59. Let's expand the data a little bit more. This book has been moving upwards of $70, right around $50. Has been lower as well, but clearly this book has the ability to sell for pretty good money. Look, again, you should have been tracking this back here for $4 because you could have picked up a copy and flipped it for some pretty good money. And then right now, if you want to buy this book, you can pick it up for about $9.76. So this is something that I honestly would probably also pull the trigger on. It's cheap enough, and there's enough sales history in the past that you could probably do pretty well with this. Looks like we have three copies at right around $9.76 free shipping, then goes up to 50. So what I would do with this book is I'd pick it up for $9.76. I'd probably just pick up one copy, honestly, because it doesn't look like it moves too much. So I'd probably just buy one copy, and then I'd try to probably send it in for like $39.99. And I think at $39.99, this would move pretty quickly, especially if you're a prime seller, even considering that most recently this sold twice for about 70. So I'd probably try to sell it for $39.99, make about 15 bucks. But like I said, you could historically go up to $79.99, and if you did, you'd make some pretty good money there. So this is something that I'm going to buy a copy of for sure. It's also very niche. Like, look at this. This came out in 2002. People are going to want this book. There's no new edition of this. Look at the last 2,000 days. Like, it's held some pretty consistent sales data to show that it can sell for some good money. And one little tip for you as well is that, these 3 copies are actually pretty cheap right now. And looks like they're all gone. So looks like someone probably bought those 3 copies, but Actually, no, they're still here. Okay. But 976, you could buy all 3 copies and you don't even need to sell all 3 copies to make money because if you bought all 3 copies, we just do 976 times 3, which would be you would spend $29.28. Even if you just sold 1 copy for what this has recently sold for, like let's say 69.99, you would make $20 profit. And what I would do is I would just send 1 book into the Amazon FBA warehouse as a prime seller, take those other 2 copies and then set them on your shelf. And as soon as that 1 book sells, and just replenish it. And like I said, getting rid of the other offers there, the other competition would be helpful, because then if someone needs this book, they can't actually buy it for that cheap because it's not available. So that's a tip. Jacob says, "Love that you're doing this live. Thank you. You're welcome. Yeah, we're live Saturday mornings every day. Oh, every Saturday morning, 6:30 to 7:30. We do some live sourcing. Come in, ask some questions, and yeah, I'm glad that you're finding value in it. All right, by the way, just hit 50K in sales for the year just like 2 days ago. So I'm also a high school chemistry teacher, so I work a 9 to 5 job, and I basically source from 10:30 to midnight. I do that every night. I also now have a couple of VAs working with me as well. But someone go buy this book, please, because if you don't, I'm gonna buy those books. There's that Desert Volcano book. Okay, let's see. See if there's anything. I'm gonna refresh flip mine over here. Let's see if there's anything. If there's anything here. What else? Yeah, I do occasionally post stuff on my Instagram. So my Instagram is just Joji_Davenport. So if you're interested in, like, I usually don't talk about sales and like my YouTube videos. I usually don't make videos about like I just like about how much I sell. But if you're interested in some other content on Instagram, I also post there. All right, everyone, this looks super, super solid right here. So let's see if this is still available. Yes, this is available. All right, someone please go buy this book. Please go buy this book. Look at this. So this book sold for 73, sold for 73, sold for 73, sold 3 times for a couple times for 59 there, sold for 59 there, sold for 60 there. Didn't sell a lot. But is this a textbook? Absolutely not. This is The Traditions of the Jews. This is a 2006 book. It's a paperback. Clearly, this has been out for a while, right? Again, publication date 206 or 2006. If you look back the last 3,000 days, this book holds value. It doesn't sell a ton, but it holds value. How do I know it holds value? Because its use price is pretty significant. It's well above $20. It's basically $40 for the last 3,600 days. So it's like, how could you lose buying this book for $20? I mean, right now you can buy it for $18.88. How do you lose? Like, this book has never been cheaper in the last 6 years. I mean, you'd have to go all the way back to 2016 before you can find a time when this was cheaper. And during that time, Amazon was on the listing at basically $32. So you'd have to get ungated. This should probably be an auto ungate. Just click, copy, paste the ASIN over into Amazon Seller Central, add a product. But this is something that I think is solid. This would move easily. So again, this is a Prime offer. So if you're buying it on your Amazon account, you'd have to make sure you say that you don't use your Prime service, or you just have to use another Amazon account that doesn't have Prime on it. But this is a solid flip, $18.88. This is easy money. You'd probably sell this for $69.99 pretty quickly if you're an Amazon Prime seller, and you'd make $30 on that. I mean, and there's a lot of potential to sell for even more than that. Like in the past, look at this. Here's a sell at $199 when the used offer count was 6. And let's see, here's a sell here at $195. So this book has precedent for selling for significantly above what it has sold for in the past. So you might put this in, like I use my repricer that uses Be Cool. You might go ahead and send this in for a min price of $69.99. That looks like that's a pretty good floor price. And then you might put your max price at $129.99. It's very likely that you would win the buy box at $129.99. And then you'd be making a killer profit. You'd be making $80 just with that one book. So I would say, I hope that when I refresh this page, it's gone. Okay, it's still there. So if no one else is buying that, I'm 100% buying that. That is gravy. That's a wonderful, I mean, that's going to take a little while to sell, but it is definitely going to sell, and it's going to make some pretty good money. Okay, let's go ahead and see if Flipmine refreshed anything. 13. On Flipmine, something I like to do is also like to open up books that have really high potential prices, because that tells me that it's a book I could probably track. Ooh, okay, this is Keepa does not provide data for this book. Why? Um, okay, that's that book. So this book here is $400. Lowest use price. Even the paperback is $400. So for some reason, I wasn't like the Keepa chart wasn't populating for the hardcover. So let's look at the paperback. So the paperback, this was $100 for a couple months, and it sold once they're at 100. Then it probably sold the collectible condition for 200. Actually, it probably was in use. It's probably in use condition because the used offer count dropped and the collectible offer count stayed the same. Few sales at 195. These had to be at least at $300 there. This book holds value. Like here's a sell 390, 380. Okay. So the paperback of this book is selling for some pretty good money. And now this is the hardcover as well. So this is 179 plus shipping. Clearly, this is a very rare book, a Necronomicon. So hardcover is $400. There is no Keepa graph for this, so it does not provide Keepa data. But the rank of this is 1.6 million, which means it's probably selling. So this is something that I'm gonna pop on. This is something that I would buy because you'd be I'd probably contact the seller, see if they do a little bit more. But basically, 180 plus 14 would be 194.04. So you'd pick this up for 194.04. So you'd have to spend some pretty good money for this. The lowest price is $400. So if you were to flip it for 430, you'd make 160 bucks, which would be pretty much all the money we said we're going to try to make in the sourcing session. And the only reason why I would still buy this, even though there is no Keepa graph for this book for some reason, I don't know why, is because sales rank is 1.6 million. Generally, you would like to think that hardcovers are more valuable than paperbacks. And if the paperback is able to sell for over $200 and up to $350 on its own, and that probably tells you that the hardcover is probably worth more or probably also worth something. But this is something that, no, so like upwards of 270. So this is, and like again, here are the sales back here at 380. But this definitely holds some pretty good value as well. It's probably still something that I'd want to send an offer on, but I think this would probably be a solid pickup. So what is this? Is this a whole bunch of scribbling or what? That's kind of really unfortunate. Um, that looks like someone like just wrote in it, but some edgeware, see pictures, plastic. Yeah, I think that's somebody else. Yeah. So that kind of honestly turned me off because this is a really collectible book, but this is something that I would still send an offer on. So I'm gonna come over here. I'm gonna get the auto hotkey script running. I'm gonna say, hey, would you do? Let's contact the seller. Let's see. Would you do? I don't know. Let's say $120. I'll pay for the shipping. See what they say. But I think that would probably be a pretty good flip right there. That'd be a high dollar flip for sure. Most people are not going to spend that much money as well. But again, you just got to figure out what is the thing historically selling for and then go from there. Let's see what Jacob says. Found you from the live bootcamp with Romer, underrated channel. Hey, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for joining. I appreciate that so much, Jacob. All right, let's do this. Let's keep going. We got about 7 minutes left. So let's see if we can find anything else. I think we've definitely found some good books. We've definitely found well over $150 profit. Obviously, it would take a while for it to sell. Like you'd have to send them in. You'd have to send it to Amazon warehouse. Someone would have to buy it. So it's not like you just made $150 right now, but over time, that's the name of the game. It's like I specifically look for books that take longer to sell, but hold some pretty good value because, in far as capital wise, like I just need to make sure that I have enough capital to buy the stuff that I need, and then stuff sells slowly. It's like eventually you have this sort of like train where it's like stuff you had bought 3 months ago starts selling, and you have all this revenue that pays for future expenses. So I definitely like buying this stuff that takes a little bit longer to move. This is something that would be worth tracking. And the reason why I say it'd be worth tracking is because like, look, this can sell for up to 50 bucks, like 40 to 50 bucks. But also this book can also be really cheap. Like it could be down to $3.60. And a lot of times you can see it's very dependent on offer count. Like look at this. Offer count was 26, used price was $3. Offer count goes down to 2. Now the used price is up to 60. So obviously the number of sellers impacts the used price. Probably one of the reasons why the price of this basically started to tank is because the used offer count on this is rising again. But again, at a low offer count, this thing moves pretty good at right around like 20 to 30 bucks. So this would be something worth tracking. Looks like there are 3 people tracking this as low as 19. I definitely would track it for lower than that, but this is something that I'd probably track for like $2.50. And yeah, sure, I'll track it for 3 years. Why not? We'll look there. Let's see if there's anything else. Anything else we got? This again, this is the right idea. Like this book was selling for about 60 to 70. The used price jumped down to right around 16. You can see someone actually bought it there. So there's probably one more, at least probably one more copy there. Let's see. New perspectives in modern Korean Buddhism. So definitely a very niche book. Got about 3 copies here, right around $21, and then it shoots right back up in 70. Inherently, this is a book that hasn't sold a lot, but it's only been out for 167 days. So clearly, this is a new book. I would say if it has started out was such a high Amazon and third party new price, it's probably going to stay there. So I would say probably just pick up one of these books, and if you bought this for $20.99, and you sent it back in for 69.99, I mean, you'd be making pretty good money on that book. So I would say because there isn't a lot of history of this selling, it hasn't been out for long, I probably wouldn't buy both copies. I'd probably just buy one copy just to minimize my risk a little bit. But again, think worst case scenario, like you have to sell this book for 45, you're making a $7 profit. I mean, you can sell it for 39.99, you're still making a $3 profit. So I don't really think that you're going to lose with this book, especially since this is a new book. This probably came out, yeah, late 2022. So um, I could totally see this being a very niche book used in college, and I think it probably has value. You can also go to the paperback to see if the paperback maybe has better sales volume. Looks like it's not even released yet, but there's thousand going to be in stock. So yeah, I'd say that's also a pretty decent deal as well. I wouldn't buy more than one copy of that book though. But let's see what else we got. I think I'm probably going to stop there. A couple things though that I want to show you would be I do have a we got Gary in the house. What's up, Gary? It's good to see you, man. Were you behind the scenes this whole time? I'm glad to see you. Could you could we recommend you books that we're looking for? Maybe we can get maybe would be good for other live ideas. Yeah, 100%. If you have any books like during the live stream, just throw them in the chat. I'll take a look at it. Also, I have a Discord group. I think you're in the Discord group, right? Do but yeah, I do have a Discord group. Let me go ahead and let's see. Discord group is which one is that? I don't know why I don't have the Discord group there. But let me just I'll go to my homepage here. But I do have a Discord group absolutely free. So if you want to join the Discord group, I'll go ahead and put the link down here in the chat here. But we have over 100 people there. We got people like Gary in there, so I mean, how could you go wrong? But yeah, there's a lot of really, really cool people in there helping each other out. And let me go ahead and grab that link for you so that you have it. That all right. So I'm gonna come back over here. I'm gonna put that in the chat. So there's a link if you want to join the Discord group, and then also I do have a newsletter as well. So if you want to sign up for the newsletter, um, basically, I think my thoughts with the newsletter is I'm gonna just do some exclusive events. It's also gonna be free. Obviously, you just had to give me your email, and then we'll do some free events. So I think probably we'll do probably a couple free coaching, like group coaching sessions. I'll probably do like a hangout. Like we're getting close to 1,000 subscribers, which is absolutely insane. We started back in June at like 100 subscribers. Now we're almost at 1,000, which is absolutely crazy. So I'm super excited to hit 1,000. So probably we'll do something for sure for 1,000 subscribers. And if you're on the newsletter, then you know what that will be. But it's going to be exclusive, so you only get to know if you're in the newsletter or the Discord. Sure says, appreciate you always come with nuggets. Always amazing how much I don't know. Humbling. Yeah, and there's so much I don't even know. That's something that I've learned, share over time, is that the more I learn, the more I realize I the more I realize there are things that I don't know. So that's why I love learning in general, is because the more you learn that you don't actually know. So that's really cool. But I'm glad that you're finding value here. Let's see. Go over to YouTube here. Let's see. Um, All right. So any questions? I'm just curious. Anyone have any questions here before we head off here? So I am gonna head off here pretty soon. But if anyone has any questions, let me know uh, how things are going. Like I said, if you have any ASINs that you want me to take a look at, you could always throw them in the Discord group, or you can throw them here every Saturday. So I'm live 6:30 to 7:30. The goal is to source $150 in profit. I think we definitely did that. I mean, I didn't buy any books here because I also want to give you the opportunity to buy them, but I have about 5 books up here in my bar up here, my browser bar that I'm gonna go buy after this if they're still there. So definitely there are books here that I would have bought, and yeah. But I'm curious how sales are for people. My sales are definitely looking pretty good, and like I said, I just hit 50K on the year, which is pretty good for me. And the goal is really just to use all that income to pay for our living expenses, and then all my teaching income, all my wife's income, we basically just save that and invest in the stock market. Our goal is to try to retire early at by age 35. So we're just trying to make I'm just trying to make Amazon cash flow our living expenses so that all the other money that we make can just be invested and can go towards um, building a net worth and just getting the snowball going. But Rosemary says there are times I wonder what Joji would think about a book I found on Keepa. Yeah. Yeah, feel free to put it in the Discord. Usually I'm at school during the week, so I can't usually answer until later at night, but yeah, it's good to just to throw it in there, and maybe one of these sessions you can let me know what you think, but maybe one of these future streaming sessions we can actually invite somebody on and we can do some live sourcing with them, and then we can see what's going on. Chris says 37K year to date. Let's go, Chris. Yeah, Chris is also killing it over there. 37K per year on the year. That's really good. Um, that's a great idea. Yeah, bring someone on, see if they can do some live sourcing. It could be like a live coaching session. I might even title this live coaching session with whoever comes on. I think that'd be really interesting. And Seth said that'd be a great idea. Yeah, I think that'd be really cool. All right. All right. I think I'm gonna head off here. I am gonna go enjoy the rest of my day with my boy, my wife. They're gonna get up here soon. So I appreciate everyone. Thank you so much for being here. If you want to reach out to me, I'm over on Instagram. If you want to join the Discord group, that's also an easy way to contact me. And like I said, we're getting close to 1,000 subscribers, which is really exciting. There is going to be something exclusive for the people in the newsletter group and the Discord group. So join that if you're interested. And that's all I got. Love the live sourcing, Chris. I appreciate it. Maybe we'll bring Chris on the channel and maybe we'll see what he says, but that'd be cool. You're welcome, Seth. Hey, always good to see you. I gotta check out your video, Seth. By the way, if you don't know who this guy is, Checkmate Flips is. He's a really cool guy. He does a lot of eBay to Amazon, not necessarily books, but he's got a lot of great content. He has a video that just came out. I'm gonna go watch here in a second. So go check out his channel. Jacob says your channel has all the markers of becoming huge soon. Keep it up. And thanks. I appreciate it, man. That's really kind of you. I really appreciate that. That's awesome. Chris says, thanks. You're welcome. Seagal, good to see you. You're welcome, Glenn. Enjoy time with the family. I will. All right, Dana, have a good one. Have a great weekend for sure. Enjoy your day, you two do. And AJ, yeah, you're welcome. All right, everyone, have a good one. And I'll see you next Saturday. All right, peace.